Let me ask you something. Have you ever asked yourself this question? At first thought, these answers seem pretty legit. Mindless spending, not saving enough, procrastination. Because this is the #1 finding on Google, it's considered the best answer. Even though there are more articles and videos on finance than ever before, you still feel like you aren't where you want to be financially. But why? Because feeling free financially is all about living the type of life you want, not money. If you think about it, people are different. You might be happier making less money if you have more family time. Or you might be happier being your own boss and working remotely around the world. Money is simply a resource that allows you to live the life you want, and this is different for every single person. And before you ask, nothing in this video should be considered as financial advice. Nothing is an attempt to sell you securities. And yes, you should not consider anything we discuss as a guarantee. In this presentation, I'm going to share the 3 strategies I've experienced the most when it comes to discovering how to live the life you want regardless of how much money you make or your amount of debt or savings. In other words, discovering potential financial mistakes by optimizing your financial situation. This is an approach you can use regardless of your age, gender, or where you live. A lot of friends ask me, how am I able to travel when I want, work from home, and pursue my passions? They always ask me, what do you do for a living? Or how do you have the time to work in the yard and so much time to make videos? But to me, I feel like I have just as much time as everyone else. I'm just doing the things I enjoy doing. And it's because I've found a set of strategies that guide my daily life. My life doesn't require hitting the lottery or being debt-free to feel amazing and peaceful. I'm going to show you how to feel freer in your life using simple strategies I've discovered during my time with Zinvestor. And these will help you to optimize your finances and begin focusing on creating the type of life you want to live. Whether you work behind a desk, in retail, have a big family, lots of student debt, kids, or rent an apartment, these strategies can be used because it's about your individual lifestyle. It's about visualizing your ideal daily life and optimizing the flow of money to match the type of lifestyle you're aiming for. Right now, at this very moment, the #1 largest problem for most Americans is student debt. And you can probably guess the #2 problem is credit card debt. Both are in the trillions of dollars. That's trillion with a T. Have you discovered anyone telling you how to live your best life with the debt you currently have? The internet tells you, how in the world can you be happy with a huge debt cloud hanging over your head? It's almost as if everything is attempting to tell you that you can't be happy unless you make millions of dollars or you're debt-free. I've found this to be completely false. I've created a formula to combat this current state of mind surrounding money. You may find when you look for help from financial companies, at first glance, they seem pretty helpful. But the more you dig into them, the more you begin to form a different opinion. You'll probably find articles like this one. Just look for yourself. So why can't you find concrete answers online? I think it's because no one has really taken the time to figure out that first step. How to make the right decisions today while focusing on retirement and still allowing myself to enjoy the things I love to do. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to share the surprising story of how I stumbled upon this revolutionary financial planning system. But more importantly, I'll go over 3 strategies you can implement into your own life. 4 years ago, I didn't have a purpose. I didn't have any social media accounts with thousands of followers and views. I wasn't living what I thought to be my best life. Back then, I just felt lost, living paycheck to paycheck. And you might identify with this. I had tons of student debt, no savings, and no business. I was stuck in something I call the purpose paradox. This is when you wake up in the morning and you go through the same motions every single day of every single week, waiting for the weekend. You plan your 1 to 2 vacations a year, and you constantly feel as if you deserve more the entire time. Essentially, you feel stuck and have no idea how to break loose. But how do you find that answer? You're stuck in a cycle of non-growth. This is where I was. I wanted to know how to get the ball rolling, and if there was a way, how could I do it for free? One day, I got a call from my mother. She asked me if I knew anyone who was a financial planner. I thought for a second and realized I didn't know anyone I could refer her to. She told me that she needed financial help, but didn't want to spend $1,200 just for a financial plan. I also knew my parents weren't rich, so $1,200 was a lot of money. Being the type of person I am, I started brainstorming and researching. I discovered most financial plans are between $1,000 to $2,000. There was absolutely no way of getting around this fee, so I decided, hey, I've got an accounting degree and an MBA, so I'll just become a planner myself. I started out trying to work for other financial companies, only to find out that this was definitely not the path for me. I won't name any names, but one company only allowed you to go door to door for clients. Another said you can only accept clients with $100,000 minimum in retirement savings. Others turned out to really just be insurance agents who called themselves financial advisors. And the final companies were more concerned with you building a team to sell products under you instead of actually meeting the needs of their clients. I saw all of this as a massive problem, but it didn't stop me. If anything, it pushed me even more. See, I had spent the past few years trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, because frankly, I was lost. I read every single self-help book I could get my hands on, and I tried to discover what I wanted to do with my life. And this was after spending thousands of dollars on college classes. I discovered I really enjoyed helping people solve problems. To me, money is the number one biggest problem for most people. So, when my mother called, I was finally able to discover my purpose. I decided to get licensed and build my own financial firm, focused on the real needs of everyday people. The strategy for getting me past the first hurdle is self-immersion. Self-immersion starts with self-awareness. By definition, self-awareness is the awareness of your own individuality, recognizing both your strengths and faults. Before you can immerse into yourself, you need to be aware of your own strengths and your own weaknesses. The first thing you should do is create a list of things you feel are strengths. Next, create a list of strengths other people would say that you have. Then do the same thing for faults. A list of faults you believe you have and a list of faults that you think others will say you have. I've made these lists time and time again. Now look at your lists and try to find commonalities between your strengths and your faults to narrow them down to just a few for each. At this point, you should have some idea of your strengths and weaknesses. Next, jot down all the things you want. This list can be hundreds of items long if you want. Usually, I assign a rank to each item. But here, I just want you to go through the list and select the 3 that would have the biggest impact on your life and if they happened tomorrow. Make sure you don't skip this step, as these 3 things will come in handy later. At the end of the exercise, you will have created a picture of who you are and what you want. This is self-immersion. But to get what you want, you have to analyze where you are today. Let's take working out as an example. You've made the decision to lose a couple pounds. Summer is here and you have a beach vacation planned. The last thing you would do is sign up for a marathon or try to bench 300 pounds on your first day. No one does this. You start small with the treadmill, seeing how long you can run. Or you start light on the bench and go up in weight until you can't bench anymore. This strategy is what I call self-analysis, and it shows you exactly where you are in a given area. But you may be asking, Zach, what do these first two steps have to do with my financial issues? Remember, money is just a resource. To find solutions, we need to understand the underlying foundations of what creates the issues in the first place. For example, let's say you want to buy a car, so you need a down payment. Using the self-immersion technique, you discover you suck at saving. Then, using self-analysis, you find that you only have $1,000 saved. Based on this information, what should you do? Well, thanks to these strategies, it's pretty obvious. Find a way to save more automatically. That way the responsibility doesn't fall on you, since you're not the greatest saver. This leads us to the final strategy, which is called self-realization. This is where you fulfill your full potential. This is where you do what it takes to gain the things you want. This is where you save enough to get a new car, lose the weight for the beach, or start the business you want. When it comes to self-realization, this needs to be action steps that you follow to reach the next level. From the self-immersion strategy, you should have picked 3 things you wanted. These are your immediate goals. Now, write down the next 3 steps you think you have to take to reach each of your immediate goals. For instance, if you want to scuba dive the Great Reef off the coast of Australia, then what would you need to do? Write down those high-level steps you'd need to reach the goal. So what are they? Well, you need to get certified, and then you'd need some gear. You would need to know where you're staying, the flights, time off work, and the best times to go. So write down each of these steps in that order in which you believe you need to accomplish your goal. Next, you're going to assign a deadline for each one, whether that's a few days or a few weeks. At this point, you've literally planned to accomplish one of the 3 goals you believe would have the biggest impact on your life in a matter of a few minutes. This is why these strategies are so impactful. Now imagine taking these strategies and applying them to your financial situation. Imagine yourself waking up tomorrow morning with a plan of attack for the 3 biggest financial problems in your life. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook to stay updated on the latest, but more importantly, to stay updated on YouTube, press the subscribe button below.